It is such a joy and an honor to be with you here today in this beautiful celebration that is giving such great honor to Our Lady of Fatima. So we are celebrating the centennial of Fatima. And I will start with the opening story. The story features 3 shepherd children from the village of Fatima in Portugal. Lucia, in the middle of your screen, was only 10 years old when Our Lady first appeared. Her first cousin, Francisco, was 9, and Francisco's sister, Jacinta, was 7 years old. All 3 were illiterate. They could not read and write. Lucia was very intelligent. She had an excellent memory, and Our Lady asked her to learn to read and write in order to spread devotion to her Immaculate Heart. Francisco naman, very passive siya, quiet, reflective, a very contemplative soul. He could only see Our Lady. He could not hear her. Jacinta naman was the youngest of the 3, but according to Lucia, she grasped the message of Fatima most deeply of all. Here's another photo of them. They're holding their rosaries. They were very well formed in the faith. Lucia's mother, in fact, was the village catechist. And the children would pray the rosary daily as they went out to pasture the sheep. The youngest in the families of Fatima were in charge of tending the sheep. And these 3 would go out together. Before they played, they would pray the rosary. But nagdaya sila. Yung rosary nila, ganito. Our Father, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary. No? Only the first few words of each prayer. But after Our Lady appeared to them, they never prayed that way again. They prayed with great fervor and great intention. This is the family of Jacinta and Francisco, Marto, the Marto family. Jacinta and Francisco were the youngest of 9, so this is an incomplete family picture. And T. Marto, the father of the 2 shepherds, was the first believer in Fatima. And now this is Lucia's family, the Dos Santos family. And you see Lucia there in the middle of the photo with her mother beside her and some of her siblings. She was the youngest of 7. Now, unlike T. Marto, Lucia's mom did not believe her. In fact, she was persecuted by her family. This is the house that Lucia grew up in. It is still in Fatima. You can go in. You can see a sign there on the left, Casa de Lucia. And here is the village church, and where Lucia, at the tender age of only 6, received her first Holy Communion. And after that, she went to the statue of our Blessed Mother, dedicated her life to loving her son, Jesus, and our Blessed Mother smiled at her. So this is the first miracle that she experienced in her life. Now here's a small map of Portugal. You can see beside Spain, together they are known as the Iberian Peninsula, and the red star indicating Fatima. 70 miles south of Fatima is the capital of Portugal, known as Lisbon. I don't know if you know, but in 1915, Lisbon was known as the atheistic capital of the world. The practice of religion had to be restricted and hidden. There were many anti-religious laws. Religious education was banned in the schools. Theology was not allowed in universities. Religious orders, monasteries, convents were all shut down. Church property was confiscated, and the bishops and the cardinal patriarch were exiled from the country. But it is also in 1915 that the first apparitions of Fatima begin. Not in 1916, but in 1915. Lucia spots an angel 3 separate occasions. There are no words exchanged. So these are 3 silent angel apparitions. Before the angel comes in 1916, as Father Domi said. So 1916, at a place called Loca do Cabezo, in the springtime, a young man looking about 14 or 15, as brilliant as crystal in the sun and as white as snow, an angel identified as the angel of peace appeared to the children at this place. And he says to them, "Do not be afraid. Pray with me." And he kneels, touching his forehead to the ground with very great reverence. And he prayed with them 3 times this prayer: "My God, I believe, I adore, I hope, and I love you. I ask pardon of you for those who do not believe, do not adore, do not hope, and do not love you." In Sister Lucia's first memoir, entitled Calls from Fatima, the first 6 chapters of her book are based on this prayer. Number 1, God. Number 2, faith. Tapos adoration, hope, charity, forgiveness. It's all contained in this prayer. What lessons can we learn from this first angel visit? Believe in God. Have faith. I'm going to give you some very depressing statistics. In North America, the latest study shows that by age 22, 91% of baptized Catholics stopped practicing the faith. In North America, 1/4 of the population, 25%, identify themselves as nuns. Hindi yung mga madre dito yung NUNS, our beautiful pink and blue sisters. Not NUNS, NONES. Walang religious affiliation. 25% of North Americans. So believe in God, the angel is saying. Have faith. Adore God. Only God is worthy of our worship and our adoration. Today we have many, many false gods. St. Thomas Aquinas identifies the 4 that are most prevalent when we have false gods: power, possessions, pleasure, prestige. And when we put these things before God, we are really worshiping false idols. Trust God. Jesus said to Saint Faustina, and I will mention her a few times in my presentation. So Jesus said to Saint Faustina, "What gives me the most joy is when a soul trusts in me completely." So when we say that prayer, "Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you." We pray it, we mean it, and if we live it, we give Jesus very great joy. And then love God, right? "My God, I believe, I adore, I hope, I love you." Ask God's pardon. This is a very central message in Fatima. Pray with great respect and reverence. We see that the angel's position of prayer is what the Muslims use when they pray. The children learn to pray prostrate on the ground with their heads touching the ground. And finally, we should really know and believe that Jesus and Mary listens to our prayers, because the angel said they are attentive to the voice of your supplications. Now we have the second angel visitation. It's a well near Lucia's house, and it happens in the summer. Nagalit ang anghel sa kanila. "Ano bang ginagawa ninyo? Dapat magdasal kayo ng mas marami." And then he says, "The hearts of Jesus and Mary have designs of mercy on you." Later on, Jacinta will have 2 separate apparitions, visions of the Holy Father right by this well. Only she had them, and in both the Holy Father was very distraught and persecuted. People were throwing rocks at him and stones at him. Also by this well, Lucia would come, and she wrote in her diary, "I would come here to mingle my tears with the water in the well when my family would persecute me, when they did not believe me." Then the angel told the children, "Offer prayers and sacrifices constantly to the Most High." And the children were confused. What sacrifices, no? So Lucia asked, "How are we to make sacrifices?" And the angel replied, "The picture, by the way, is the well as it looks today. If you were to visit Fatima, it now has the figures of the three children and the angel." His reply, "Make everything you can a sacrifice and offer it to God as an act of reparation for the sins by which he is offended and for the conversion of sinners." And then he identifies himself. "I am its guardian angel, the angel of Portugal." So these words of the angel, Lucia wrote, were so impressed, I'm quoting her directly, "upon our minds, like a light which made us understand who God is, how much he loves us, and how much he wants to be loved in return, the value of sacrifice, and how pleasing it is to him, and how, because of sacrifice, he converts sinners." And from that point on, the children began to offer to God everything that they could. And before the angel left, he said, "Above all, accept and bear with submission the suffering which the Lord will send you." What can we learn from this second angel apparition? Yung una, pray more, play less. Offer prayers and sacrifices constantly to God. First, to repair sins. We convert sinners by offering prayers and sacrifices. And we draw down the peace of God in our homes, in our countries, in our churches, in our dioceses, in the world, amongst all nations. And finally, accept and bear suffering humbly, submissively, and patiently for love of God. All of us will be wounded in one way or another, if not now, sure to come, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And we have a choice. Our wounds can either be sacred, so it's up to us, no? God does not allow anything now that he will not bring good out of in the future. That's the power of our God. Whatever evil is happening now or being visited upon us, God desires to bring good out of it.